India against South Africa, T20 World Cup cricket preview. This is a big match on Sunday from Perth, 7 p.m. local time. And I must say I'm quite looking forward to this one. Hopefully the rain goes away for this second kickoff. If you want to check the forecast for Perth, do look at the other video we did with Netherlands against Pakistan. But it looks like the rain percentage chance at 7 p.m. onwards goes down remarkably low. So might be a small chance of the shower, but really I think we're in for a full match here. And it's a really tasty game, isn't it, Kev? Between India's side, who are obviously going very well, and South Africa as well. So thoughts on India at the moment? You know, everything's quite rosy in their garden. Virat Kohli scoring runs. They've beaten Pakistan. The tail seems quite up at the minute for India.
Yeah, it does. I mean, they say that T20 is a game of fine margins, don't they? I mean, if they didn't get home in that final over against Pakistan, where would they be? They'd probably be in a similar position to where they were this time last year, where their tournament was over before it begun. I don't think we can really judge too much on them beating the Netherlands. I think I'll reserve judgment until we've seen this game as to exactly where India are. But I think you've hit the nail on the head. Virat Kohli scoring runs is massive because he's still looked up to as that kind of Tendulkar of this era, isn't he? So everyone else, when he's scoring runs, they free up because they know that he's going to get runs even if they mess up.
Exactly that. And, he's had a lot of criticism the last 3 or 4 years, hasn't he? But I've got to say he's certainly come up with the good so far in this particular Cricket World Cup. Now I'm going to share the odds with you for this game. And South Africa, the underdogs, 2.5. Now, I've got to be honest, I think they're a big price here. I was very, very tempted to back South Africa in this game. They're the sort of team that down the years I don't fully trust, which is what makes me avoid them here. But I think they've looked they've looked all right so far, South Africa. They've got a lot of runs in them.
Yeah, they do, and they've got pace like fire with the ball, haven't they? To quote that West Indies side of the 1980s. They've got plenty of heat. I think it's a closer match than those odds suggest. I'm not sure if I fully expect South Africa to win it or not, but you could do an awful lot worse than back them at 6-4. That is for sure. They're definitely not massive outsiders if they're outsiders at all. These two, they met in a T20 series in India earlier in the year, and although they completely fluffed their lines in the first one, they were more than competitive in the next two, winning the third one, which was actually the dead rubber game, but they won that quite convincingly. So they know they can beat India. And if T20 cricket is all about on the day and what's gone before means nothing, this is a dangerous South Africa side, that is for sure. I mean, if you're backing South Africa here, you're effectively backing De Kock, Rosso, Miller, Rabada, Nortje, and if he plays Shamsi, they're 6 of the best T20 cricketers in the world. 2 or 3 of them come off, and all of a sudden, you've got yourself a serious live runner.
They surely couldn't have handpicked a better venue to take on India. I mean, you've got to think their bowling attack is far, far better suited to this venue than India. And their batsmen are not going to have any problem against India's spinners here, aren't they? So I think South Africa can go pretty well in this particular game. I'm interested in your first bet here. Let's go with the 1 unit pick. It's a 4-1 shot. Both teams to score over 170 runs. And I kind of get where you're coming from. But I do have a bit of a concern that these matches under lights in this tournament have been... The bowlers have done quite well in them. So you think this actually could be quite high scoring? I get it's only 1 unit. I know there's some powerful batting lineups here. But are you just thinking that sort of the quality of the top 4 or 5 is just ultimately going to be too much?
Yeah, a little bit of that, Steve. Yeah, I mean, India have shown already in this tournament that they're going to fight fire with the bat, haven't they? They're missing Jasprit Bumrah. They know that they can't make up for that with the ball, so they're making up for it with batting depth, which means that they go hard at the top of the innings. Rahul, Sharma, Virat Kohli, Yadav, they're all in great form. And that's the way they're going to play. They're not going to change now. And South Africa are going to have to do likewise here, aren't they? They're going to have to score runs. If they don't score runs, they're not going to win. So, I just think these two combine so well for a high-scoring match. I really do. I don't think India India are going to back down, even against the South African pacers. And like you just pointed out, the Indian spinners shouldn't cause too many troubles for South Africa here. In that T20 series that I just referenced, Steve, if we forget the first one, because I mean, South Africa made an absolute arse of it. They were something like 35 for 7 in the power play in that first game. They just landed from England. The conditions were not completely different, and they hadn't got used to them. They needed that run out, so I'm prepared to let them have that. But in the last 2 games, both teams scored over 170 in each. In fact, in one of them, 230 was only just enough, and South Africa scored 220 in the one that they won as well. So got recent history for high-scoring games, these two, and I don't see any reason why this one won't be. You're right to have concerns about the pitch, but we're not up against. We've not got batters here who are mugs. We've not got your Sri Lankans who don't really know what they're doing, or the Afghanistans who are like rabbits in headlights, or even the Zimbabweans. We've got 2 classy batting lineups, most of which have played in the Big Bash. If not in the Big Bash, they've either played in South Africa or they've played at the Wankhede in the India Premier League. Just places with pace and bounce. I mean, bearing in mind South Africa have not long finished a tour of England, have they? Where one of the games was at Old Trafford, which had God knows how much pace and bounce in that pitch, and Nortje ran through England, didn't he? So so much experience, and I just think these are 2 really classy batting sides, 2 top quality batting sides, and I think this is a high scoring game, Steve. I really do.
Yeah, I think I actually prefer this bet over the taking the match runs. I think the match runs line is 327. I think for this.
Yeah,
match.
You're unlikely to get that covered if this bet doesn't cover, so you may as well take the bigger price for a smaller stake.
You might as well, because if there is that chance that if one got skittled, you're only losing 1 unit as opposed to say 3 or 4, or you're having to stake more or whatever. So continuing on your theme here of you liking runs and stuff, over 10.5 sixes, and this is a pick that I certainly cannot disagree with, considering the players on show.
Players on show, bowling attacks. The ball's going to fly here, Steve. It's just going to fly. You look at the Indians and, you're going to say, yeah, South Africa are going to bang the ball in, and they probably are. But the Indians have got such great wrist work that they can get the ball into the corners of this ground where it's a lot shorter than, dead square. You look at Virat Kohli, he's an absolute master of rolling his wrists, isn't he? And placing the ball. Yadav, exactly the same. And, they've got some crazy shots, these Indians. They can ramp it. They can helicopter it. They can do all sorts of things, these India batters. And South Africa are the same. They could just stand there, clear their front foot, and swing for England, as the saying goes. And this line's way, way, way too low. There's so many 6-hitting potential in this game. It's absolutely untrue. De Kock, which you're going to come on to in a minute. Riley Rosso, absolute beast of a 6-hitting, as Bangladesh just found out. David Miller, one of the cleanest 6-hitters in the game. Then for India, you got Rohit Sharma, you got KL Rahul, you got Virat Kohli back in form, you got Yadav, you got Karthik, you got Hardik Pandya, you got Axar Patel. I mean, Jesus Christ, they keep on rolling off the tongue. And if they all just hit 1-6 each, then it's happy days. But someone's going to go, someone's going to do a Marcus Stoinis in this match. I'm not sure who it'll be. Maybe it'll be a Pandya or a Miller down the order, but someone will do that. And this line covers. I'm fairly confident that this line covers. I think the sixes are 2 or 3 too low here. I really do.
And we do know it's a very short straight boundaries here at the Perth Stadium. And also, there's a strong wind direction from the south, 20 mile an hour gusts. So that particular boundary, that end there, that could be really peppered, I must say. And you mentioned Quinton de Kock there. This is going to be my pick for the game. It's a performance bet on the South African wicketkeeper opener. Over 33.5 performance points at Bet365 for 3 units. I can't resist this one. A wicketkeeper performance let me down on this ground with Rizwan the other day. But to be honest with you, I think Quinton de Kock is just in fantastic form. He's seeing it really well. He's hitting the ball really well. And I would happily take this line just for his runs, to be honest. He's not going to get a stumping here. He might get you a caught behind somewhere, in the field. You hope he'd probably get you 1 catch, but I think the way he's scoring runs. And I'm a little bit concerned that this new ball is doing something, under the lights especially. But I like a bit of form. And, there's actually a match with some form batsmen in. And there's not too many teams that are saying that right now in this World Cup. You've got, there's a Centurion for South Africa, wasn't it? Kohli as well for India, Yadav. And de Kock, I think, is in that mode. I think he can get us 34 points here on whether it's be runs and catches combined. But he'll get off to a quick start. And I just hope that new ball doesn't do for him, Kev. That's my only concern, really, because I think it might do a bit, potentially, especially if he's batting second. But, I can't resist a keeper performance. And Quentin de Kock, I've had plenty of bets on him down the years, and he's usually served me quite well.
Yeah, just because he's doing a bit, don't mean to say you have to go after it, Steve. I mean, he's an international cricketer of some recognition now, isn't he? He's been around the game 10, 15 years. He's not stupid. He'll have played a moving ball by now. So he should know that he can play himself in and catch up later in the innings. So I wouldn't worry too much about the new ball doing plenty. He's, as long as he's got a technique to keep it out. And I think more of a concern for me would be Bavuma chewing up balls at the other end, and he thinks he's got to get on with it. But at some point he's going to get dropped. So even that might only be a token concern.
I actually did look at Bavuma's under runs line again, and I hope I don't regret this, not taking him again, because this man just looked woefully out of form. And I actually looked at South Africa's first 6 overs total as well. But then I realised that I'm probably going to need him out early for them to cover it, because he's just going to potter around and get like less than the run a ball score, isn't he? If he lingers.
I mean, the only thing you say about Bavuma, his home ground is the Wanderers in Johannesburg. So, he should at least be suited to these conditions, whether he can find the middle of his bat or not. I mean, this poor run of form for Bavuma started in India when he didn't get double figures in any of the 3 games. So, and he ain't got double figures since, really. So, sad times for the lad, but he shouldn't even be playing anyway, as I've echoed 2 or 3 times in this tournament.
Well, he's not even finding any part of his bat, let alone the middle of the bat right now for Bavuma. So I think, watch him get a low score. We wish he was on the under again. But one more pick for the game. Yadav to score 50 for India, 3-1 here.
Yeah, I think it's a big price, Steve. Again, we go back to that series that these two played in India. Admittedly, it's in India, but Yadav's a back foot player. He plays his Indian Premier League games for the Mumbai Indians at the Wankhede Stadium, where there's plenty of pace and plenty of bounce there. And so that doesn't really bother me. He scored 50s in the first 2 games, Steve. In the first one, they were only chasing about 100, and he came in and he absolutely smashed it to all parts. And then in the second one, he was just a joy to watch in that second game. That was against the very same South Africa attack, so that's a positive. I just think the guy's class. He's just scored 50 against the Netherlands, and I don't think he come in till about 10 or 12th over, did he? And then, some of the shots this bloke plays are absolutely ridiculous. And I've been a fan of him right through the tournament. I'm still a fan of him now. I think obviously there are downsides to this bet if South Africa do get rolled over for being 1. If Sharma, Rahul and Kohli get stuck in being another. But he's not going to need many balls to get 50. So if he does come in late in the innings, if he faces 25 balls, he'll get 50. And he's got a very, very good record against this bowling attack. And that's key for me. So, I'll pay to see if he scores 50. I think his runs line for this match is something like 24.5, Steve. And if he covers that, he's going to be in. So really, it's very, very rare that an in batter of his class gets to 25 and then doesn't then push on to get to 50, unless, of course, he runs out of time. So I'll take the higher price in the hope that he doesn't run out of time and go from there. Certainly, it'll be fun to watch if he does get to 50.
You've got to say probably one of the best batsmen in the whole world in this format against, it's a good matchup actually, against the fastest bowler in any world format in Nortje, who is 96, 97 mile an hour potentially.
On a normal pitch, he could be rapido here. Chef.
Could he get to 100 on this day?
Oh, I was going to say Shoaib Akhtar might be sweating for his record a wee bit here.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it goes. But you'd have to score 50 for India there at 3-1 at William Hill. We'll talk about the top batsman market now for South Africa. If South Africa roll the dice, and Bavuma was dropped and Reza Hendricks came in to open the batting, would that 5-1 look big on him?
Yeah, because his home ground's Johannesburg as well, so he'll certainly be suited to the pace and balance. I said it in the outright preview podcast. The bloke's got 50s in something like 6 of his last 7 T20 innings, and now he's being kept out for a bloke who ain't got 50 in his last 10 innings combined. It's
a madness.
I mean, it makes absolutely no sense to me. I mean, South Africa do stupid things when it comes to World Cups, and you can stick this one right on the top of the list. They have other captains in this side. It's not like he has to captain the side. Bavuma. Miller's captained a CPL franchise just last month. De Kock's been around long enough now that he must be able to captain a side. Markram's captained sides at domestic level. There are other captains in this side. I do not know, unless as I said right at the start, unless it's a quota system thing, do not know how Bavuma's still in this side. But yeah, if he plays Hendricks, he is certainly a big price. The only thing is, you would say now that they've frozen him out, haven't they? And he might need an innings or two to sort of come good. I mean, of the ones that are on that page, I like David Miller. I really do. I think he could have some right fun here. David Miller plays his 100 cricket at the, what are they called? Welsh Fire. Down at Sophia Gardens in Cardiff, and the dimensions of that ground are exactly the same as the dimensions of this ground. The pitch is about 100 mile an hour slower and 100 meters lower, but the dimensions are exactly the same. So short straight that a miss hit will go for 6, so wide square that you've got to absolutely give it a parachute to get it over the boundary. But the fact that he plays with those dimensions could serve him well. And what's he there? 13-2. There's worse prices out there than him. He'll certainly want to join the fireworks, that's for sure.
I wondered where you were going there with the comparison from Perth to Cardiff, because they're like night and day in terms of the type of wicket. But you are right, yeah, very, very similar sort of dimensions there down at Cardiff. So a recap for this game then. It should be a good one, hopefully. But we've got a few bets for you. Over 10.5 sixes at Coral. A 4-unit selection there, quite a confident pick. Both teams to score 170 runs or more, 4-1 for a unit. You'd have to score 50 for India, 3-1 at William Hill for 1 unit. Quentin de Kock performance over 33.5, and bet 365 for 3 units. Let's hope we have a great game of cricket, Kev, and have overall a fantastic Sunday. Best of luck with all your selections, and we'll be back for some more previews next week. Take care, everyone, and goodbye.